Yeah. Like, you know what's funny when you ask me about who is the biggest investor? I almost said Warren Buffett. I said, I almost said Warren Buffett. I said no.
Actually, he's not, but sure.
Yeah, I said, no, not at all. I said, I got retreat. Homeowner, yeah. Definitely homeowner.
With him, I still did not discuss anything. I can assure you that.
Yeah, right.
No,
We're not going that deep, and this is not a financial podcast. So
No,
not at all.
No, I have only certain qualifications.
Yeah.
There's only so much I know.
Yeah, only so much.
Welcome everybody for another episode with Max and Vic to Acadia on Air. Vic,
This is going
welcome
to
back.
be, Yeah, I'm so happy to be back.
Great having
Here
you
we go.
here.
So this is going to be our 5th episode.
Yeah. And what are we going to talk about?
It's going to continue exactly with the same topic on episode 4, right? But not exactly the one. But yeah, different questions. But the topic, they are related to each other.
Yeah, so episode 4, we were discussing about how to get the right consultant.
That's true.
And we answered on quite a lot of questions. And I'm assuming there are more questions that you would be interested in answering.
And this episode is based on talking about and discussing more detail, right? Like more detail about engineering, more detail about, for example, we have quite a few questions here. Is residential, project, and so those are a little bit of the differences between the two of the last podcast. But yeah, are you guys ready? Max, you ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Let's do it. So the question here, just like I said, we are more delving into the common question of more detail of our last episode. So what types of engineers are required for a residential construction project?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, well, first of all, it very depends how you approach the project.
Yeah.
So we discussed previously about different packages that you can get, different kind of engineerings. So many people would call and ask for permit drawings, just regular, the simplest, the minimum requirement that's necessary in order to apply to the city and get the permit. And but there is a higher packages. There are construction packages with a lot of details. So it really depends. But so in order to answer that question, there are two approaches. If we are approaching what is the minimum requirement, in order to, I would say the minimum requirement is to get a structural engineer and a mechanical engineer.
Right.
That's something that doesn't matter what you do in a residential place. When you get drawings from a structural engineer and mechanicals, meaning HVAC mainly, from so HVAC drawings. Mechanical yet, I would call it HVAC.
Right.
From a mechanical engineer, that's sufficient. But sometimes you would build something a little bit more complicated, like a custom home, and you would want to make sure that you want to avoid issues. You don't want to argue with your contractor. Like, I would be very uncomfortable. If the client tells me, Max, we wanted a sink here, and I would say, well, the sink wasn't on the drawings, so clearly we did not rough in any plumbing for the sink because it wasn't there.
Right.
So in certain situations, especially when we do custom homes, we like to create for our clients plumbing drawings as well, which kind of brings it to a mechanical set. So you would have the HVAC drawings, you would have the plumbing drawings that shows what size of plumbing pipes you want, what size of air vents, everything.
Yeah.
Not really necessary, not a must. But again, when you're investing into a project that costs millions of dollars, you probably would want to be a little bit safer on that.
That's pretty true.
So plumbing drawings would also work. And again, depending also not a must, but depending on what you need, if there's a lot of lighting, for example, involved, electrical, I would definitely create electrical drawings.
Right.
But overall, what the homeowner should know that in order to get a permit and in order to start construction,
Right.
you don't really need to have plumbing and electrical drawings.
Right.
You can pretty much walk with your electrician. Usually, that's what we're trying to do on a smaller project, on additions, and we pretty much would walk with the homeowner, with our electrician, and
And make a
mark.
Yeah.
Okay, outlet here, mark. Sink here, mark. So plumbing, cold, hot air, all that.
Yeah.
And of course, that's the minimum requirement. After that, there is minimum building code. So we would add, like, I don't know if you know, but there's a specific minimum building code that says how far each outlet should be from each other.
Right.
Because people don't understand. Sometimes you would have a redundant outlet. And I had a situation where a client asked me, Max, why am I paying for all that? We didn't really need an outlet on that wall. That's probably cost me money. Why did you do that? Minimum code. In order to pass all inspections, there are things that are just a must.
Right.
So yeah, we discuss all that with the client. But basically, to answer the question is, for residential permit purposes, you would want to have HVAC drawings, engineering done, and structural engineering done. It's great if it's done in the same company as ours.
Right.
Of course, again, you cross-reference between the two drawings, and they align.
Right.
You don't have any issues. Like, for an example, where I see problems the most, okay? Because you don't have electrical drawings, on electrical plans, you have, for example, an HVAC unit, a furnace. A furnace needs a wire,
Right.
right? But sometimes it's just missing because it's nowhere in the drawing.
Right.
So when you cross-reference, when one company does everything, and you cross-reference between the electrical and the HVAC, okay, we have a unit, we have a wire for it. We have this, we have a wire. It just makes, again, less issues, less problem. You pay a little bit more before the construction starts. You save a lot of issues and
In the
money in the future.
Right.
Again, don't forget, we discussed that previously. The savings in the budgets, of course. You spend a little bit more,
Yeah.
but the budgets are, everything is within the budget.
Right.
Timeline, of course, no issues. Imagine situation, you're closing drywall and you forgot a wire.
That's the
You
worst
got to
part.
fish it, all that, open, or sometimes the job stops. You don't want that. So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Right. So you would say for smaller project, what you said about is like wire kind of, I don't know, like design. Is no need for that, right? I mean, because
I'm
you
not
said just
sure.
mark on.
Yeah, so
is it
pretty
like
much you
those
go, you mark
places
it on the
just mark on the
studs, right?
stuff, yeah.
When
Like
all the
those
walls are
paper, yeah.
exposed before you have drywall, you
Yeah.
just literally you mark it on the studs. Okay,
Right.
the homeowner would want the micro going to be here based on the kitchen. You mark a wire for the micro, and also don't forget that there are different in electrical specifically. There are different amperages for every outlet. You got a stove outlet, which is 240 different. You got the outlet, the regular plug, right, for everything. So all that is very important.
Right.
So you can do it marking, but again, if you as a homeowner forgot something, then it's your responsibility.
So in this kind of point, you need a drawing. If it's like
A drawing would
medium
avoid a lot of
size.
issues. On the other hand, more money. So it really depends where the priorities are.
And do you know roughly how much if I want an
No,
extra
it all
drawing?
depends
It all
on-
depends on the project, right?
It all depends on the project.
Right.
Yeah,
So smaller, okay.
I'm not going to be able to go into numbers here.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about the budget. This is going to be also related to my next question here.
Mm-hmm.
Is how can a homeowner ensure that the engineer's recommendations won't impact their project budget negatively?
Yeah, that's also a great question. So what happens sometimes, you would have permits
Yeah.
approved, and we look at them as a contractor. like a lot of clients come to us, I'm not going to lie, we do everything in-house, right? Design, build.
Right.
But a lot of clients will come to us with existing permits,
Oh, okay.
right? They hired a consultant, they did the permits, and they come to us for the construction. So when we give the quote for the construction, we evaluate, of course, the drawings, and we look at what kind of structure there is, how to build everything. Of
Right.
course, we sit with our teams, and the problem sometimes is that we find a lot of redundancy due to lack of experience. And what happens is we have to change a lot, and those changes cost money. So, for an example, we would see a beam. And assuming if I'm not asking questions and I'm just pricing as per the drawings, I'm going to be losing to the client a lot of money.
True.
So assuming there is a beam, you look at the beam and you're like, okay, beam. That's an expensive beam.
Yeah.
Whatever, not my business. That's what was proposed by the consultant. We're just going to price it. You want to propose things that make sense. Yes, you want to go a little bit above, but not above and beyond too much to cost the client a lot of money.
Right.
So I would say the first thing is experience. If your consultant leaves based of, you remember we discussed different consultants as well.
Yeah. Like
If you hire, let's
last
say,
week, yeah.
A BCIN,
Like consultant, right?
a BCIN consultant, yes. They don't have the allowances like engineers to actually calculate custom calculations for per specific project. So of course everything will be over engineered, over designed,
Over design, yeah.
and that costs a lot of money.
True.
And all of a sudden clients come to me, and of course we have our guys in the office, and we do the calculations in the office, and we realize,
Oh, this is kind of
stop,
way too much.
this is a steel 12-inch beam. We could go with a 10-inch beam. All of a sudden, the client is not going to have a huge bulkhead, a lot less, because 10-inch, or that's the difference between having a bulkhead or having a flat ceiling,
Right.
depending where you put this beam.
True.
So experience is number one. You got to make sure that your consultant know what they're doing. Again, I stress it out there to people all the time. Pay the extra $1,000 because this beam, 2 inches more, gonna cost you an extra $500-$600. It's gonna cost you an extra money to install it, and you spend that extra money all of a sudden, if not more, because if there's a problem with one beam, there's probably a problem with more than that.
Right.
And again, it's not a problem; it's just over engineering. Okay. So that's number one thing. Second thing that
That cause negatively.
yeah,
So you say
second
the
thing that
first
can
one, yeah.
cause is different construction techniques.
Okay.
Right? So you got to make sure that the contractor is well versed with their construction techniques. Again, same example, steel beam versus wood beam. I could install a wood beam here, meaning logistically would be much simpler, much cheaper, no need for the amount of labor, meaning cheaper price.
True.
Versus all of a sudden we have a steel beam, now we need more people, now we need more jacks, now we need, all of a sudden the price
To
jacks.
install, yeah.
And funny enough, you as a client, unfortunately, never know that.
Right.
Never know that. So you're betting really when you're getting your consultant, we discussed about that as well. You guys definitely should watch our previous episodes, but we discussed about it. You are betting when you're getting your consultant, you're actually betting on someone that you're hoping that they know what they're doing. You need to trust that they know what they're doing.
Yeah. And
So I guess
yeah.
this is something that,
And hopefully
Well,
they're
that's
in
that.
the same team, right? Because we also mentioned that before. Like one person, remember, is going to be our second episode.
yeah,
One person team versus the whole team,
absolutely,
which is like Arcadia. We can
exactly.
do the whole service. We provide whole package.
So,
submit the
so
permits
the reason
for
this
you
is
and-
so correct is sometimes what happens also, you go to different consultants,
Yeah.
right? We just discussed about engineers.
Yeah.
You go to HVAC engineer, you go to, usually plumbing is the same,
Plumbing,
engineer, but you go to structural engineer. One create the structural design, one create the mechanical design. there is on the mechanical design, you would see a duct going through. On the structural design, you will see a duct going through, you would see a beam going through the duct.
Right.
Now you have a problem.
Right.
Now, the problem is not even with that, because you as a homeowner, you don't know anything. But now you have to go with a duct around the beam. You're not going to cut a beam, right?
That's true.
And all of a sudden, what can happen? You don't achieve your minimum height requirement by the codes. An inspector comes to your house and tells you redo all that. Now you have to go back to the engineer, pay them more money to redo the design. Now you have to go redo the ducts. Now you got yourself into
It's quite arduous.
$5,000-$6,000 worth of issues.
Yeah, pretty true. That's how
So those are the things, and nobody, unfortunately, the way it works, nobody will take responsibility because from the perspective of the HVAC engineer, you asked for an HVAC design, I gave you an HVAC design. From the structural engineer, you asked for a structural design, I gave you a structural design.
Right.
You asked for no posts or walls or whatever, an open concept, you got it. So there's always a way out to explain why it's nobody's fault. At the end of the day, you as a homeowner, is out there, every single issue like that you're dealing with might take weeks.
That's true.
That's the cost that comes out of the mortgage price because you're paying mortgage while still building. So the bottom line,
Yeah.
pick the right consultant.
So speaking of consultant, right? And we also the architect last week on our last episode, and also engineers. I do have one question here. Does engineer really essential? So this is exactly related to my question here. Do homeowners need an engineer for a renovation or remodel? Or is that only for a new construction?
Great. So what homeowners don't know out there is that a lot of consultants have different qualifications. So you will find that, sorry about that.
It's happened before, right?
It did, eh?
Yeah, it did happen before. I mean, yeah,
You
like
know
some
what?
podcasts. yeah,
Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to our topic.
Yeah.
A lot of different consultants have different qualifications.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. They don't know what's the idea behind, oh, I hired an architect.
Right.
I hired an engineer. They would say, I hired an architect and everything is an architect. I hired an engineer, everything is an engineer. So, yes, there are different qualifications. For example, an architect is capable with their license to build a new home. Not build, I mean to design a new home.
Right.
Okay, they have all the qualifications to stamp it, submit to the city, and you will get your permit. But also an engineer can do that. An engineer is qualified to pretty much submit an application for a residential building without an architectural stamp.
An architect, they cannot submit.
But architects cannot submit structure without an engineer.
Oh, really?
That's an interesting point that nobody knows.
Okay.
So while people go and find an architect because they know I need to build a house equal architect. So this is a thing as well. But also an engineer not always is as open-minded as an architect or
True.
they're not
like-
as versed in design as an architect would be. So there is
pretty
there are
Some kind of discrepancy between
giveaways,
right?
depending what you're going for.
True,
And at the end
true.
of the day, of course, you also got the BCIN designer, which a lot of people, they go to the municipality and the municipality would say, you need to hire a BCIN designer. Okay, and they don't know what it is, but they're like, do you have a BCIN? I'm like, yeah, no, we can go to something better than that.
Yeah.
But a BCIN designer, of course, they also have a qualification to build a house. The problem is that they're a little bit limited. And therefore, when it comes to custom homes, I would probably suggest
Ask him
to do
for
the engineering.
Okay.
Again, we do everything in house, so we pick the stamp that we need based on the work that we do. Of course, different qualifications to, let's say, when you construct a basement,
Right.
versus when you construct an addition,
Right.
versus when you construct a new home, versus when you construct, let's say, a laneware or garden
Laneware,
suite,
yeah.
you know? So it's all different.
Right.
But yeah, at the end of the day, as you know, I am part of the design team in our office.
Yeah.
And I try to make sure everything that
They're all-
requires a design passes through me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
So can engineer, architect, and BCIN, right?
Yes.
BCIN designer be the same person? Just wondering. For example, you can have
theoretically, if you finish schooling for architecture and engineering,
Yeah.
professional engineering, you will be. BCN is just really, you do a couple of exams and you get the
and you just get
qualification.
Okay.
So it's funny because most of architects and engineers have also BCN stamp.
Okay.
And they would use, because it has different liabilities, right? So if you can use a BCN stamp for something smaller, you would, because it's less liability than. But it's technical. It doesn't. Really, but the answer is yes.
Right. And for architect, they cannot be an engineer. An engineer, they cannot be architect. This kind of stuff.
Again, theoretically they can.
If they take
Would I go
certification.
after architecture school
Yeah.
all the way for engineering?
Yeah.
Another 4 or 5 years? I don't think so. You would
Right.
want to, you would want to start. Usually, from experience, when you come out of school for, you finish architecture, you're so anxious, you're so excited to start
Having your
putting
own,
your skills into design and developing your own things. You wouldn't want to spend another 4 or 5 years to go into engineering. Also, those are
pretty
kind
true.
of, even though it's the same, it's kind of different approaches. Again, architect would work as per building codes, right? So somewhere a BCN is kind of a miniature architect, right?
right.
Versus engineers. The good thing about engineers, we can engineer every connection. And therefore, that means we can design something that looks much more impressive, than, like, you need to understand, you go to downtown. If you went to Mississauga,
One time. Yeah.
and you saw the Monroe buildings,
Yeah,
Marilyn
the one-
Monroe buildings, those are amazing. But you cannot create that as an architect without the engineers, without the structural
Pretty true.
engineers,
Pretty
right?
true. Pretty true.
So it's very, very important. But on the other hand, structural engineers cannot do that without architects as well when it comes to commercial buildings
Right.
or high-rise residential. But that's a
Right.
different story.
Right, because we talk about 3-4 different characters here. I'm just wondering, because this is also related to our topic for today, right? Is how to build relationship in between, like me or you as a homeowner, how to build a relationship with engineer and architect. So this is the question here: how do homeowners build a good working relationship with their architect and engineers?
Yeah, that's a very important one. Well, first of all,
Right.
I would suggest.
It's going to be, yeah.
So first
how
of
do
all,
you feel?
sorry.
How do you feel? Like, if we are a homeowner, right? And let's say I'm now having a consultant, and also because maybe we also need to hire architects and engineers.
Yeah.
What is this kind of like?
So-
What is the role of a homeowner?
So I find the role of a homeowner.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the truth. The role of a homeowner to make sure that you communicate all your requests, all your issues, all your problems 100%. What I find that happens a lot with homeowners,
Yeah.
that they close information or enclose information because they feel if we're going to give you the information, you might tell us that that's impossible to do.
Right.
Right? Or something like that because they were told before. And so I find that the most important thing is not to avoid
Asking questions.
asking questions and not to try and avoid conflict.
Right.
Meaning, if you as a homeowner want to do something and I cannot do it for you, or I see why it can become an issue to do it for you, I will tell you that.
Right.
If you don't want me there, if you don't want me to be your consultant, and you think that, oh, I'm going to find somebody that will tell me what I want to hear is better, go for it. Of course,
So what is your favorite kind of approach for a homeowner? Let's say because we are Acadia, right? We're working in the same team. We are consultant. We are engineers. We are designer. What kind of, I mean, it's not based on the question here, but I'm just wondering, you as a consultant,
Yeah.
as a designer, what kind of homeowner, what kind of client you prefer
So,
the most?
so my approach is I'm trying to be as real as possible.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not like my answers, I'd rather not to be your contractor
Right.
/ consultant.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a situation lately,
Mm-hmm.
which we discussed privately, where a client told me that, listen, I was doing something for so many years
Right.
and I'm in trouble. They wanted us to fix something for them, to come in and fix something for them. And he said, well, at the end of the day, it's my house, so it should be basically based on what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I explained to him that, first of all, it's not going to happen because everything we do, we have to do by code.
Right.
So we can't just
go and renovate.
do everything that our client wants and get ourselves in trouble and cost a lot of money to ourselves, to our client. And so if something is impossible, instead of telling you, yes, don't worry about it, I'll do everything for you, I'm going to tell you that
This isn't.
this is impossible, and I'll give you different solutions that work. So, but I think that overall, both parties should not try and avoid
Conflict.
conflict.
Yeah.
And both parties should understand that a question should not bring to a conflict. Meaning, a lot of situations of, if I go with you, can you do just this small thing for me? No. Small thing costs money. We'll do it for you because it costs a certain amount of money. But you will not have any hidden extras because you know what to expect.
That's pretty true.
So I believe that expectations, terms, conditions, fee structure should all be there to avoid surprises.
Right.
I find that a lot of clients want to hear what you want to hear, what they want to hear.
Yeah.
And eventually they will not ask you more questions because they want to hope that that's what's going to happen. Like, for an example, what example can I give you?
Like your backed, like before project, not like current project.
Like example that I had is before starting a project, we had a client that we were doing an addition for.
Right.
The client said that they just want to add an addition to the back of the house. We gave them a quote. They loved the quote. We started the project. Everything great.
Right.
But then the client says, well, listen, Max, I need you also. I decided that I want to break the wall from the inside. Not a big deal, right? This is a huge, huge problem. So, and it felt like they knew from the beginning that they want to do it, but they thought that we're going to do it for free, just doing this work.
This is not so good.
And this is something that creates issues between contractors and homeowners. Now, a faucet here. I thought you bring the faucet. No, faucets are finishes. The client brings all those. You said I assumed. I thought. All the I assume and I thought should be out of the picture.
Right.
Everything should be there. So, funny enough, people are getting very intimidated by big contracts, proposals, and they're like, "Oh my God, this company they got 15 to 20 pages proposal. That's probably trouble." The opposite. Everything is in those 20 pages. You can get a company that will give you a proposal 1 or 2 pages, but everything is broad.
Yeah.
And you're going to have misunderstanding. And let me tell you something. The contractor will take the heat once, twice, third time, there's going to be a conflict. But if you got 20 pages contract that explains who is supplying the finishes,
The role, yeah.
of course, the work, what's included in the work,
Right.
what kind of materials are going to come with, construction materials, finished materials. Is it with toilet, without toilet? Is it with the kitchen, without the kitchen? Is it installation only or with materials or not?
Right.
With cabinets.
Yeah.
That creates yes, maybe some of the clients on the way will disappear
Right.
because they're
True.
intimidated by those long contracts. But I'll tell you what, the right contract, the right client, the client that we want, will sit down, read it, have another meeting with us, which is normal. We'll go over the proposal with them, and they will understand what behind everything. They will ask us all the right questions, and it will be settled in within 30, 40 minutes of a meeting, and they will usually go ahead,
Right.
right? Because if they don't like the price, they don't even get back to you,
Yeah,
right?
pretty true.
Makes sense. So,
Pretty true.
so I believe same as a client should be qualified to do this kind of process, same a contractor. I personally believe a good agreement only filters the clients. And as I was saying previously, clients believe that we are hiring the contractor. That means, the contractor has to do what we say. No, no, no. When there is a meeting between a client and a contractor or consultant, everything, doesn't matter the definition here. It's an interview both ways. Both ways. Yes, uneducated and I wouldn't say bad contractor, but there are contractors who would take everything and everybody.
Right.
But an educated contractor with experience are not looking to get themselves into the corner and in trouble with a client that is to fight their way out every step. You want it to be very simple. There's a price. Concretely, what we do is written there. We can go through it and we start the construction.
Yeah.
And
Simple
no
as that.
issues, no problems. That's
Simple
how
as
we
that.
like to do things.
Simple as that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what are the common mistake? So what are the common mistake for the homeowner when they select for, let's say, construction team or like engineering team? So what are these kind of like mistake? Because we mentioned quite a few about how to select consultants, designers, architect, but what are the common mistake for those people? I
Yeah.
mean, for us,
So
homeowner.
so there are quite a few mistakes that homeowners do. Unfortunately, this is the nature of the beast. At the end of the day, everybody's trying to, get more and pay less, right? So I would say choosing a contractor solely based on price,
On price.
right?
Okay.
I found those situations. I've been through situations where, my clients that did not go with, not my clients, I mean, homeowners that did not go with us. And funny enough, you'll be surprised. It's not like there's a huge price difference. It's just, you're trying to save whatever you can. They called us in crying, asking for help or
Crying?
situation. Yeah, like this.
Even crying.
Again, I just had a meeting with a family that pretty much I interviewed, same as they interviewed me. And they wanted me to take over construction that has been ongoing for 5 years.
I'm going for 5 years.
5 years.
Like her,
5 years.
is that a home? Like her
So
home or
it's more like a mixed use building kind of thing.
okay.
Yeah, so it's a workshop, which was the dream of the son that would be living in this building, that is living in the building, and an apartment above. But yeah, they had 5 years worth of construction. It's not done. A lot of issues, inspections are not passed, and they're pretty much at the point where they're like, listen, we know you're not usually taking over things like that, but please help us out. I've done some other projects for them before, and they pretty much
So they knew it.
yeah. So they're like, please help us out. Again, not something that anyone would want to get himself into. Not the homeowner, nor the contractor. Right.
True.
So I would say choosing
The right.
based on price, not discussing everything. So, for an example, discussing kitchen, assuming you talk about the kitchens. What kind of kitchen are we going to want? You give them prices. I find that a lot of homeowners would not ask you for, is it with hardware or without? What kind of hardware going to be there? I want the better hardware, not the worst hardware. So they're avoiding those discussions because they are afraid that you're gonna tell them, oh, you want this hardware, well, that's gonna cost you a little bit more money. You want this, that's gonna. So they're avoiding it, and then when hoping that when they hire you and that they can
Do it for free.
kind of
kinda do it for free.
bargain it out.
Yeah.
Which this is a big thing
Like a
that
mistake.
again
Yeah.
it can fly for once or twice on small things, but eventually it becomes problematic. Well, you said this, I assumed, you know what, I thought you're a good contract. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, so this is
Some kind
something-
of mistake that homeowner should kind of avoid, right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
be straightforward.
It just
On the
gets-
get-go.
It just gets you into a conflict.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, conflict, we all know how it ends up.
Right.
And the problem is another thing that homeowners might not think about. But I find that I'm very professional. So when we have a misunderstanding with clients, which we do, if I would tell you that we don't, I would be lying. Everybody have. Even after explaining the contract and people signing the proposal, sometimes like, oh, Max, I didn't think, okay. Or Max, can you do it? Well, this is not part of our job. Let me check the contract, and
Yeah.
issues come. So, but the thing is, I'm very professional.
Right.
And because I'm used to it, when something like that happens, the day after, I'm the same Max. But I find that clients are changing and the relationship with the clients is changing because now they are worried. What else going to come up? What else I did not see or what else I did not know? It's like, oh, we're doing a kitchen. Oh, Max, can you do the backsplash? You're doing tiles. Can you do the backsplash as well? Yeah, but tiles on the
Backsplash,
on the
right.
walls of the kitchen. Yeah, but backsplash, in your case, originally you didn't require that. Your kitchen design did not show any backsplash in there. Oh yeah, but we assume that this is part of the kitchen. That just my suggestion
That's
is
what you're saying. Yeah.
my suggestion is zero assumptions. It should be like mathematics.
Right. 0 or 1. Yeah,
Exactly.
Right? A 0
exactly.
or 1.
1 + 1 is 2, and it's not going to be 2.5.
Yeah.
Although some people argue that. I don't know if you know that. Yeah. Some people argue that.
Really?
The basics of mathematics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like 4 minus 4.
No, so
Yeah?
there are arguments that 1 multiplied by 1 would not be 1, would be 2.
Oh.
And there is a
Okay.
full philosophy behind
Philosophy
it. But
behind it. Yeah, but this is not our
but
type of
we're not going to get into it. Yeah.
yeah.
So when I mean it should be like mathematics, it should be like traditional mathematics,
Yeah.
where 1 + 1 equals
to
2.
2.
Yes.
Exactly.
So if something is not there, it's not there. If it's
Right.
there, it's there. Now, on the other hand, also, it's very good to put it out there because really, it sounds like what I'm saying is that contractors are kind of, not overthinking everything because you would have thought, okay, why would you sell a kitchen without hardware?
right.
So there's two sides to the coin, and the assumption is, of course, that the contractor, designer, whatever person you're dealing with, a design build firm, manager, project manager, should discuss everything with you, and they should explain that when we're doing kitchen, hardware is not included because there is a lot of different solutions for hardware, a lot of different kind of hardware. You should provide a sample, you should explain, and then maybe to avoid those issues, explaining that can become part of the cost,
Right.
right?
Right.
Or you should explain why finishes are not included because before you start the construction, you don't know what kind of tile you're going to use.
Yeah, true.
You do if you use a full design process. But when you do building permits, which most homeowners do, that's not included. So they don't know which tiles they're going to use. So I'm not going to charge you in my quote for tiles, like let's say tiles $5-6 per square foot. but then the homeowner will pick something that costs 15, 20, or vice versa.
Right.
So it just makes sense that finishes are not included, but you need to explain that to your client. I'm sure that most of the time clients understand exactly what's going on, but it's devastating me when my clients come to me with an answer.
Yeah.
But Max, we thought that, it just, maybe it means that I did not do my work right, my job right to explain. Right? So of course, every coin has two sides to it.
So usually when you discuss and have a meeting with a client, usually you will kind of raise it up, this kind of concern, not concern though, but
Everything,
right?
everything. And you know what? I also found that many, friends of mine, we contractors, we meet,
Quite a few years,
we
right?
discuss,
Yeah.
we talk. Sometimes you got better time, slower time. We meet for dinners.
Yeah.
And, when I'm telling my colleagues that we should do that as early as possible, they're surprised. They're like, Max, why are you trying to overwhelm the client on your first meeting? Why would you give information? After they met you and they're interested to go ahead, you can tell them that. But then it's wrong. Because they wanted to go ahead based on many assumptions.
True.
You don't want those assumptions. So before, like for example, you want the client to understand the process of the legal process of building permits and the construction process,
Right.
timelines and everything, when they initially talk to you. Because approximately, the address that they want to build on.
Yep.
So you should be able to figure out how big of very quickly, in like 15, 20 minutes, how big of a house you're going to build, approximately, maximum, what the zoning bylaws, what are the restrictions, and you should tell them that.
Right.
Like on your first consultation, when a client comes to you and they want to build a house, you should tell them, well, listen, you probably heard about building permits. Oh, yeah, of course, Max. That's why I'm talking to you. We also, of course, need to do that. Okay. Did you know that you live in a zone in a TRCA zone, Toronto Conservation Authority zone? Oh, no. Okay. So we're going to need to submit an application to the TRCA. Did you know that you're going to need you have quite a few trees on the property?
Yeah.
Did you know that we're going to need to hire an arborist? That's going to cost you money.
Right.
Oh, you didn't. Okay. Did you know that all those expenses need to be given to the client? Because the last thing you want to happen is
discussed.
clients don't have the budget to finish the project.
And all of a sudden, all those kind of expenditure coming up on the table.
Of course.
And the client cannot pay for it.
And then the question to you, Max, why didn't you tell me? You're the
That's the
professional. You should
worst.
have known.
That's the worst part. That's the
So
worst part.
that's where the losses come, on those small little parts, not on the building. People think, okay, construction, what am I going to need? Foundation,
Yeah.
framing, exterior finishes, interior finishes, roof. I'm done. No. There is legalizations. There are fees that are being paid to the city. There are development charges. There are arborists that are involved. There are different engineers that are involved for soil, for
Lot of stuff.
lot of stuff.
Lot of stuff.
You need a consultant. I don't know if we're talking about a consultant again or contractor
Yeah, contractors,
that
consultant. Yeah,
have the knowledge to tell you all that,
exactly.
right? Like if we are starting a job on a small rise apartment building, and I remember when I met with the client,
Yeah.
the one thing that, funny enough, the developer didn't know, it's a developer. They're about to pay tens of millions of dollars, right, for the process. And I remember that they did not know about a park levy fee, which is a fee for apartments. I'm not going to go into that too much right now. But that's a lot of money. That's a huge chunk of the budget.
Right.
And I said, okay, you got to make sure that you have that. So we didn't pick up this job. What happened eventually, we got lucky to find out that he was actually not in budget after that. He talked to the municipalities. He realized what all the fees that needs to be paid. He was out of the budget a little bit.
Right.
And he got back to us 4 months later because he needed to get another investor. for the project.
Okay.
And he did. But imagine if we didn't do that.
There'll be a huge problem in the future.
It would be a huge problem
Yeah.
to finish the project.
Because if you continue to do it and end up there's no, it's out of scope, it's out of budget,
Yeah.
and the client cannot pay for it. And
Now, also, don't forget, who are the biggest investors in development?
Who?
Homeowners.
oh yeah, true.
Can you imagine if you're in a project that you might declare bankruptcy
Yeah.
because you don't have enough money to finish, and a lot of homeowners already prepaid for the apartment and they're waiting for it?
Yeah, that's pretty true.
You could bet and say that, Max, but it's not your problem. But you could say that it's just principles of being a good developer.
Right.
You can jump on a project. A good contractor. You can jump on a project
Project, yeah.
and say, well, that's their problem. I don't care. We just need to make money. That's not our project coming up. Or you can realize that you want the client to be happy at the end of the process.
That's true.
And when you're getting to a certain problem, you remember we discussed this and that, it's in the contract? Yeah, Max, yeah, don't worry about it. Let's get it done. Yeah, you did say that. And not like, well, I assumed I thought. Or
So make sure to line out all the detail and also know the milestone as well during the first, the second interview.
Definitely.
Not interview, but like
Definitely.
Yeah.
And of course, then the whole process is with a smile.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we're looking at? Well, construction is a relationship. Of course,
True.
there are. I'm always telling my clients that
Yeah.
I will be in a relationship with them for the next X amount of time.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that
We are
this
on
is
the right
healthy.
track.
This is
Yeah,
healthy.
healthy
Just
relationship.
like any relationship.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, like you know what's funny when you ask me about who is the biggest investor? I almost said Warren Buffett. I said, I almost said Warren Buffett. I said no.
Actually, he's not, but sure.
Yeah, I said, no, not at all. I said, I gotta retreat. Homeowner, yeah.
You know
Definitely
what?
homeowner.
With him, I still did not discuss anything. I can assure you that.
Yeah, right.
No.
We're not going that deep, and this is not a financial podcast. So
No.
not at all.
No, I have only certain qualifications.
Yeah.
There's only so much I know.
Yeah, only so much. Yeah.
Yes.
And also, you mentioned about I kind of forgot the full name, but the certain zone you need the certain permit, right?
Of course.
Because for this kind of topic, I'm actually thinking we can put it in the different episode because I'm pretty sure some places in Ontario they are reserved, correct? They're like forest or like places you cannot build the things on.
Oh yeah, of course. Well,
Right?
yeah, it has to do with zoning bylaws, but
Yeah.
pretty much every piece of land, every site has specifically zoning bylaws that dictate what you can build on this lot.
I'm quite interested in this kind of topic. I mean, for the
Yeah.
next episode, yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah, definitely.
just to get you out there, you can build, let's say, a store on or some kind of plaza on a residential
The
zone.
residential zone.
Yeah.
Oh,
And there are processes too, but
Right.
that's a different story.
right. So get back to this topic here. So how do I know? Because I assume myself as a homeowner, because in future I'm going to buy the home, I'm going to do the renovation for my home. So how do we, like me and also viewers, going to bring consultant and architect into the project
Okay,
if we
so-
want to build the stuff? Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, a lot of people don't know when to introduce not only consultant, also a contractor to the project.
Like all of them.
Many people, most of people would be like, oh, I need to build something. Let's call a contractor. Big mistake. If I'm a contractor and I'm coming to give you a quote based on what I see, I'm going to overprice it a little bit because I understand that in the future, you will hire a consultant. This consultant will create a set of drawings, and we'll have to reevaluate everything based on those drawings.
Right.
So how do I not lose? I will overcharge a bit. Okay. So no contractor, gonna want to lose anything. But the problem is, a lot of people have already kind of in line a contractor that they like. For example, if it's somebody that work with their friends, if it's somebody that a family member, or well,
Kind of.
although probably I would never hire a family member,
Yeah.
but it makes things way too comfortable. but
Right.
but yeah, and the problem with it is that when you get a contractor, when you get to, I think I lost the question there.
So the question is, like
Sorry.
when, like what is the time?
Yeah,
The timing. The
yeah,
good
yeah,
timing,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
The good timing.
so if you introduce the contractor too early, it's kind of losing money. Theoretically, it's losing money.
Right.
My suggestion is to get a consultant or a design build company, because, like for example, in our company, the department that is doing the
Permit.
the,
Design.
the
The other.
the quotes is a different department than whoever gives you the original budget.
Right.
So it's not going to influence on it. It's not like there is, let's say, an addition. I told you that this addition going to cost you $400,000, but it can be done for $350,000, and now I'm going to stick to $400,000 because why not? You got back to me. That means you're ready for it. So yeah, I suggest to introduce the consultant. The consultant will be able to give you an approximate budget. If this budget is something that you are comfortable with, you should start working on the
Working
design,
on design.
right away.
Right.
And then based on those drawings, now you're going to propose those drawings to your contractor, and your contractor now will evaluate everything as per the drawings. No assumptions, no questions,
Yeah.
exact construction quote. And therefore, all of a sudden, you're saving 30, 40 grand.
Wow.
It's not like, speaking of beams, I always give the example of beams because people understand beams, right?
Yeah.
Am I going to have a wood beam? Yeah, so we're doing an addition. Is it going to be a wood beam or a steel beam? I don't know, but steel beam cost $2,500, a wood just $1,000. Let's go 25. If it's going to be wood, great. I just made $1,500 extra. If it's not wood, well, I didn't lose,
Right.
right? We don't want that approach. So you want to make sure that you have the drawings done first, all the engineering.
Yeah.
You submit it to your contractors. Less assumption, more concrete the quote is. More concrete the quote is. That means less you are paying out of the pocket.
So you would say bringing architect, not only them, not only engineers and architects, but the whole team in the project as early as possible.
Well,
Like, do you feel this way, or
I would
Could
say bring either the consultant or the contractor, because what
Not
happens
design,
is,
yeah.
like architects, engineers, it's all pretty much based on what is the project. You remember we discussed that?
Yeah.
Who you're going to introduce to your project depends on, again, I personally think that a good firm's supposed to be introduced that has good consultant to make sure that they are
They're all on
pushing you
track.
in the right direction.
Yeah.
That you're not just wasting your time. I can tell you something else. A sample of a client. A client that was trying to build a commercial project. They introduced a designer who was not qualified. They created the plans for them.
Yeah.
And then they came to us. And I explained to them that all the drawings have to be redone. Because nothing is as per code. You're not going to believe it. We redid everything in the building. Everything. And I felt bad for them. And all that was done, not even for the permit stage. It was done for the pre-approval stage.
Pre-approval
Site
stage.
pre-approval stage. So, which again, I'm not going to go into that as well, but into that right now. But again, the bottom line is they lost probably 30, 40 grand hiring the incorrect professionals.
And lost
What are you
quite a
gonna
few
do?
money. Yeah, and wasting a lot of time.
Yeah.
So you also like kind of right. Need to bring in the right timing. It's pretty important,
Yeah.
right? So what is the role between them? So this is going to be related to my last question here. It's going to be what role does the architect or engineer play in managing construction and overseeing contractors on site? So this is going to be this kind of like asking about the rules and
So it really depends. Again, this is really depends who you are choosing. Most of the time, in the smaller firms, you would find contractor or you would find consultants are pretty much coming for a site visit per call. So, for example, you have an issue, you'll call them in. You have a request from the inspector, because we established already that inspectors like to, instead of inspect, ask consultant to to give them reports and stuff. You will call them. But when it comes to our company, I'll tell you how we deal with it. We pretty much, because we are building the projects also that we handle, so we would come in for weekly inspections. We would meet with the inspectors ourselves. If we need, we're going to create the reports without even involving the client. And by the way, another thing that is very important, because we do all that, it's a return on investment for me, big time, because less the client need to worry about all the strategical stuff, happier they are.
Right.
You know what? They're coming to the project just to check how is it going once a week. And they're like, oh, great. Wow. Windows are in. Oh, great. The roof is finished. Oh, great. You're starting with the brick.
Yeah.
This is the best kind of relationship you want to have.
Yeah.
Because they know that things are moving.
They just come in and say, oh, okay, it's all done.
Yeah.
Few minutes and leave.
And I'll tell you even more, another secret. While the smaller engineers, and they charge for those visits and those reports, when we're doing construction, we don't even charge.
They charge those kind of visits?
Which is okay.
Sometimes.
That's the industry standards.
Oh, really?
But I'm telling you, we don't even do that. Because overall, when it comes to the construction stage, I think I find that it just makes my life easier. I do it more for myself. Anyways, I'm there on site. Anyways, I'm inspecting.
Right.
Why should my client pay me to do that? Which is another example how, again, you pay a little bit more there, but you
pay less
here. It all balances itself. It all balances itself out.
The whole premium package. Just like you.
I'll tell you what, when we construct the projects that we design, we do designs as well, but when we construct the project that we design, we go above and beyond with the scheduling, with the amount of drawings, with the amount of information, with everything, because it's in our interest. We in Acadia do not want to get to the point that we're losing money because of redundancy.
True.
And I'll tell you even more. I find that arguments with clients sometimes cost you as a company more money.
Definitely.
It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary.
And they won't come back if you guys...
That too.
Yeah.
That too, yes.
If you guys doesn't have a pretty, rapport, harmony relationship.
Yeah.
Basically, the client just go, once this project is finished, right? You
remember I was telling you, they leave with you most of them, all their life savings.
Yeah,
you are their financial advisor. You are their savior at the end of the day. I believe it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of every client is a different thing. Every client is a different bank account, believe it or not. You don't want to mix budgets from jobs, which other contractors actually do that too, like have a pool of one account and they do different jobs.
Yeah.
Everything should be organized in order.
True.
To make your client, trust you. And again, it client loses your trust, it just feels it's a bad situation.
Because I do believe for a client, they always come back. Correct. I mean, they always come back for us. Once they have maybe the second project they want to complete.
Well, most of the time they will. Yes, most of the time they will come back, because really what clients like is those relationships.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what actually funny enough happens.
Yeah.
You do something big for a client.
Yeah.
They're happy with you. Everything is great. Then they would try to do something small, like you build a house for them, and they would do some kind of renovation or add a bathroom or a move. After that, they will call somebody else. Because it's funny because sometimes they're feeling, let's call somebody cheaper with,
Yeah.
and
Like
they will
me,
call
yeah.
and they will find and they will get in trouble. And then they will call us. Right?
So why not?
It's-
Like call us in the, on the get go, like the whole. I mean,
Listen, it's the nature
they
of
just-
it's the nature of human beings. Human beings, unfortunately learn the hard way.
the hard way. So yeah. Like,
But we can only do as much. That's what we're doing here. We're trying to educate, our clients, hopefully future clients,
Yeah.
existing clients, and overall homeowners, how to avoid this kind of issues. I really hope that some contractors will, somewhere inside can thank us for this kind of video.
Yeah.
Because this is not
For sure.
something you'll find online.
yeah.
How to, period.
How to period.
You
yeah.
know,
How to
yes.
do it.
But this is why I do that, because I hope that people can be a little bit more educated.
Right.
And more education mean less losses.
Exactly. And this is how I feel because, we are in the same office. And I always found not only some, but quite a few of your clients, they are kind of like, the second client, it's kind of, returning clients.
They're returning clients. Yes.
Yeah, they're like returning clients. Yeah, because you can directly call their names. Oh, how's it going, right? So this is what I found.
I do believe this is not the reason why, but partially, yes, you like the familiarity.
Yeah.
You know how to handle, you know how to deal with the company. You know that, okay, we passed that project together and it ended up great. So, yeah.
Right. So, yeah, that's our package.
That's our what, sorry?
That's our premium package.
Premium package.
Premium.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like I actually finished all of them.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, all
that's
of them.
great.
So we covered, like in total, just, because we do prepare some questions here for Max. And we have 14 questions in total. And we cover in 2 episodes.
Well, I'll tell you what, Vic. Well, first of all, thank you very much for that, because I do find that it's very
Essential.
knowledgeable and interesting for people out there, for homeowners out there.
Yeah,
This is something
definitely.
that, going to be a great thinking point when they call. And
Some knowledge they need to know, right?
Yeah,
Fundamental knowledge
I
they need
agree.
to know.
I agree.
And also asking whether they are professional or not. Right? Yeah.
So I guess this is the end of it.
The end,
And
yeah.
what do we say at the end? So, guys, we finished this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And now that we're done, back to work.